I love sleeping. Sleeping is my favorite activity. It's something I look forward to almost every day, and I'm cranky when it comes to an end. I don't like waking up early, yet I'm not really a night owl. I just like to sleep. Now, the cross that I carry is that I can't take naps. If I had a nap in the middle of the day, then I won't fall asleep until the wee hours of the morning. So as much as I like to sleep, I only get to do it for 6 or 7 hours a night. If I'm really lucky, I get the full 8. So needless to say, I understand why these virgins fell asleep as they were waiting for the bridegroom. If I were waiting that long, I would probably fall asleep too. Actually, I know I would fall asleep. More often than not in my own personal prayer time, I start dozing off. But now, Jesus, he isn't warning us against sleeping in the gospel this morning. Rather, Jesus is preparing us for the end times, when he comes back for the final judgment. Jesus won't care on that day if we're actually sleeping or not. Jesus just cares that we're ready to meet him. Unfortunately, the way that we live out our regular lives is often similar to how we live out our spiritual lives. Since I can be very lazy in my everyday life, I'm just as lazy in my spiritual life. I'm too quick to turn on my television instead of praying my holy hour. Just as I would rather eat a plate of fried food instead of an apple, I would also rather get a drink with a friend instead of reading and catching up on my ministries. Now, getting a drink with a friend and the occasional basket of jalapeno poppers aren't bad things. But when I start replacing my love for God and Jesus' priority in my life with those things, that is when I become one of the foolish virgins. The foolish virgins in our gospel put their own needs and desires ahead of God's desire for them. They wanted to rest and be invited to the bridegroom's party. They didn't care about what the bridegroom actually wanted. They only cared about themselves. And I know I can certainly relate to this. When I don't pray, it's because I want to do something else, and not because anyone or anything is stopping me. I'm stopping myself from growing in relationship with God. So how do we stay focused on the Lord and his will for our life? How do we become more like the wise virgins who were ready and able to enter the bridegroom's party? It all starts with daily prayer. We have to pray every day. Even if it's a Hail Mary when we wake up or an Our Father as we're going to bed. It doesn't matter if we pray for 5 minutes a day or 60 minutes a day. We just have to pray every day. We also have to continue coming to the holy sacrifice of the Mass every Sunday. By becoming who we receive in the Eucharist, we will be able to know God's will for our lives and know that we need to better prepare ourselves and prioritize God in our life. Finally, we need to humble ourselves by receiving the sacrament of reconciliation. Through that most humbling and courageous sacrament, we show Jesus that we know who we are and that we want to be better. Daily prayer, receiving the Eucharist at Sunday Mass, and going to confession are the three biggest ways that we will prepare our hearts and our souls for the second coming of Jesus. We don't know when he will come, but we know he's coming. If we want to be welcome into the bridegroom's party, which is heaven, then we need to have our hearts prepared to welcome him. Our hearts get prepared through being in conversation with God through daily prayer, receiving the bread of life on Sundays, and being humbled in the sacrament of reconciliation.